Hi, I'm Penny Dick's Astro Coach, and welcome to tonight's in-depth look at today's transformational new moon in Capricorn. First of all, I'm going to ask you how you're feeling, because the energy has been quite tricky of late. It was certainly pretty difficult last year, and this is the first new moon of this particular year, and it's in Capricorn, which is the sign that had all the activity last year. It's the sign that was causing us all the problems, all the restrictions. And the emphasis now has shifted from this element of earth into the element of air, into Aquarius. So the fact that this new moon is actually in Capricorn, where Saturn and Jupiter, the big boys, were. They've now moved into Aquarius next door. But this new moon is conjunct Pluto. Now, Pluto stays in Capricorn for another, till 2024. And he will continue while he's there to transform and give birth to a new order based on what Saturn and Jupiter in Capricorn really tried to deconstruct and to break down. So, what is the relevance for this particular new moon? Well, Pluto is the god of the underworld. He is about transformation. He's also about life and death. And my feeling is that because it's a new moon, it's like it's giving us an opportunity, and that's not just individually, but also in the collective, in the world at large, to see how we can learn from the lessons that Saturn gave us last year with lockdowns, viruses, and all the changes that we've had to endure and learn how to adapt to. And Pluto is asking us to transform all of this, to apply what we've been learning throughout the last year. And if we found that quite difficult to adapt to this new way of being, which is certainly going to be with us for the next few months, and the changes will endure for quite a long time beyond that. And I think we all realise now that we're never going to go back to how things were in 2019. I think that's a given. You know, the events of last year have really made, I think, the whole world sit up and look at the bigger picture in a way we've not been able to do before. And I think it's made us realise that we have to move away from these old ways of living and the ways that no longer serve us or each other. Consumerism, competition, greed, you get the picture. And it's something about how we relate to each other, how we can actually come together collectively, because Aquarius, where Saturn and Jupiter have moved into, is all about much more the collective and a kind of higher way of looking at things, a superconscious. So with this new moon, so over the next couple of weeks, we're going to have the effects of this new moon. It's making a difficult angle to a little dwarf planet called Eris, which I may have mentioned off and on. But Eris was, she was a goddess who was, she's a goddess of strife and discord. And this, I think, is symbolic of how we've endured or lived with, and this is in no way critical of the patriarchal system, but the world has lived with a patriarchal system for many hundreds, thousands of years. And I think this whole collective movement towards a much more Aquarian way of looking at life is actually about the re-emergence of a much more feminine energy. And this is Eris, who she is angry because she's making a hard angle to the new moon in Capricorn. So she's basically saying, if things don't change, then it's really not going to be good in general. And Pluto is kind of like saying, well, you know, sink or swim. I'll definitely take you down to the underworld if that's the way you choose to go. But Eris is saying, look, come on. Have a look at what I represent in terms of the feminine. We have Venus in the equation. She's a wonderful goddess of relationship and light and love. She's also in Capricorn. And she's making a really nice aspect to Uranus and Mars that are in Taurus. And I know I'm giving you a lot of the jargon, but what I'm trying to get across is the importance of the symbolic energies that these various planets represent. So you've got Venus making a very nice aspect to Uranus and Mars. Mars is the masculine. He's also the god of war. And we've certainly seen the disruptions that Mars tends to be bringing to light over the last few weeks. And Uranus is a planet that's not comfortable in Taurus because Taurus is an earth sign, it's fixed. Uranus rules Aquarius. Uranus likes change and innovation and let's upturn the apple cart and see what else will emerge. So Uranus is kind of like a bit stuck in Taurus. So he's going to want to just make a bit of a fuss and turn things over. So Venus coming in with a nice angle, I think on some level is, apart from symbolically encouraging us to allow a more feminine energy in all our dealings to emerge, a gentler way of dealing with the future, of dealing with the present. And this goes for masculine energy as well, because masculine energy doesn't have to be ignored. It has to be honoured and respected and worked with. But the masculine energy needs to merge more, to come together more with this strong feminine energy that is saying basically enough is enough. So it is a challenging new moon, but there's so much that could come out of this, because by the time we really start to get used to the Aquarian energy that's going to be with us now for quite a while, certainly the next couple of years, and then once Pluto in 2024 moves into Aquarius, it's again going to be very much centre stage, and that's going to be, I think, hugely transformational. But I'll bring it back to now, back to the next 2 weeks. I think on a very practical level, we may see women of interest coming much more to the fore and being in positions of influence. So that could be in governments, just in the general world, but I certainly feel there is something about women of influence or women having more influence. Don't get worried, to all the lovely guys out there. That doesn't mean at the cost of you. It means that if we can somehow find a way to come together, then it will be better for all. So I also think on some level we are going to see possible shocking news in the next 2 weeks. I mean, in one sense, probably I don't have to be an astrologer to predict that, because I think, you know, for anyone that looks at the news, we can see that there is probabilities and possibilities of shocking, surprising news. But it's interesting, nevertheless, that the astrology does support that. So that's going to be around. But also, I think we're going to see unexpected, apart from the unexpected news, we really are going to experience some quite volatile energy. And we're just going to have to learn to work with this. You know, Chiron, who is the wounded healer, he is also in here in this mix for the next couple of weeks, because Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius are making a square to him too. So we're really being pushed and encouraged by the cosmos to let go of what's been before, of the ways we've worked, the ways we've run our planet, the ways we've related with each other. It has to change. And of course, it's not going to change overnight, but this new moon is giving us a wonderful opportunity to set that in place, to invite it in, even if it's only in small ways. Because, you know, it doesn't take much for the whole collective planet to reach a tipping point where we realize that if we don't change, if we don't move forward, if we don't learn from what we've been through, then it will be very bad news. So it doesn't take a lot, not a big percentage. I think I remember reading Neil Donald Walsh, who wrote those very interesting books, the Conversations with God books, where he was talking about the tipping point is only something like 2% of the population. Once you reach the tipping point, everything else kind of goes with it. So I think that's really super exciting. And that's what this new moon is inviting us to do. But at this point, I'm now going to go on and have a look at your individual signs to see how this new moon on a practical level can unfold for each of you. So I'm just going to have a sip of water, and I'd like to say that I can see a lot of you have been tuning in, and that's great. Thank you so much. I'm sorry if I don't acknowledge you. It's because I don't want to lose my train of thought, but everything pops up on the video, so I know you're all there. And thank you so much for being with me tonight. So let's start with our 12 signs. Aries. For you, Aries, the new moon is in the area of your chart to do with your public image and your career, your kind of soul plan. So this is a real opportunity for you to transform the way you work and transform your public image. So that's rather a nice thing to look at how you can manage that. Taurus. I'm Taurus. And oh gosh, when I write these things, I think, oh dear, yes, okay, note to self. But anyway, for Taurus and the rest of you Taurians out there, it's about us moving very much out of our comfort zone. And there are big opportunities for Taurians to really change our worldview, how we see things. And certainly as a Taurian, I can adhere to that and say that I'm really being pushed out of my comfort zone at the moment. And I would actually say that the new moon energy for me today, and that's another thing to think about, and I'll come back to the signs in a minute, but it's another thing to think about that sometimes we actually have a kind of like a new moon moment actually on the day of the new moon. And I certainly had a new moon moment today through conversation with a friend, and how it made me see things in a different way and in a different light, and made me much more aware of areas of myself that I really need to transform. So coming back to our signs, so that's just something for you all to think about. Think back through the day and what's happened for you today. Who have you had conversations with? What has it perhaps made you think? Right, okay, here I go. I'm getting back on track now. Gemini. So for you, Gemini, it's very much about your investments and finding ways actually to make your money work for you in a different way. And obviously with the way things have been over the last year, and you know, for any Geminis, and for all of us in fact, who have savings or piggy banks that we need to make sure don't get too, you know, low and light when we pick them up, we've had to find new ways to budget and new ways to manage things, and especially in our dealings with sort of other people. So for you, Gemini, it is about just looking at how you can perhaps think outside the box a bit in how you transform the way you manage and budget your money. Cancer. Well, this is quite an interesting one because it's very much about your soulmate or somebody that is incredibly close to you. So even if you're single and don't have a particular soulmate that you can call your own, and hopefully most of you do have a soulmate, it's like your soulmate will be endeavouring to keep your feet on the ground a bit and not let you get too carried away with ideas and plans you've got to transform the world, your world, the world you have together. And it's just a kind of little reminder that Rome wasn't built in a day. So take it day by day, slowly. You know, Capricorn, where the new moon is a sign about time. It's about taking things step by step. It's quite a slow moving sign. Leo. Okay, and I have to admit, I'm a Leo ascendant, so I have to also listen to this very much because this is about me and all you Leos out there transforming your routine to do with your health and physicality and diet. And it's really saying, get that sorted now. You're being given a wonderful chance with this new moon to really make some very important structured changes. So that's note to self on this one. Okay, let's move on to Virgo. Virgo, for you, this moon is giving your creativity a boost. It's like you're really going to wake up to some new ways of working on, maybe you've got a project or an idea that you want to initiate or launch or work, and you're going to have some really kind of like transformational, to use the word that represents Pluto, ideas. So that's nice for you, Virgo. Libra. Once again, it's more focused on your home and family. And for you, Libra, if you've been doing work on the home, or in spite of everything else that's going on in your world and the world, you're thinking about making changes to your living space, or moving, or selling something, or buying something, or moving from a rental to another rental, this really is giving you a really good green light to go ahead and move ahead with that. So you can use the next couple of weeks to really look and see how you can manifest that. Okay, Scorpio. So, this is all about your communication and how you network with your kind of more local circle of friends. And I think you're going to come up with some ideas which are quite surprising, and maybe people are sort of surprised that you're coming up with these ideas on how to manage things in your community. And I think there'll be a little bit probably envious that they didn't think of the ideas that you might come up with first. So quite an interesting one. Okay, Sagittarius. I think you're going to have some kind of aha moments about finance and money. And I think you have to take these thoughts seriously. You may be having new ideas about how you could actually increase your piggy bank. And as I say, take that very seriously. Capricorn. Well, of course, this new moon is in your sign. And I think this is really rather lovely for Capricorns to be starting the year off after such a tough couple of years for Capricorns in particular, because you've had all these heavyweight big boys in your sign. And this new moon conjunct Pluto that you're going to be looking after and being a home to until 2024 is really giving you an opportunity to, I think, surprise people and show people how much you've actually changed. Aquarius, well, you are really becoming very much the sign of the moment. And I think life's events have been really encouraging you to go within and understand that kind of darker side of you, that shadow side. And I think this new moon is bringing some kind of wake-up moments, some aha moments that are really making you think and see things and see how you've been and question inwardly your own behaviour and attitude to things so that you can actually give birth to a new you, and a you that really sees things in a much, much broader perspective. And then last but never least, Pisces. For you, an interesting new moon, because it's in the area of your chart connected with your hopes and wishes and dreams. And I think it's giving you, again, a green light to initiate, to go forward, to sort of start to launch a new idea, a dream you've got, a plan you've got for you. And it's really encouraging you over the next 2 weeks to really get the structure in place for this new idea or dream that you've got. So also I think it would be good so that you don't lose track of these thoughts that are going to be coming to you, Pisces. Have note paper near you. Make notes. Keep a list of, brainstorm and really think outside the box. So that brings us to the close of everything about how it's going to affect you all individually. And wow, it's here we go. We're in 2021. Let's see how it unfolds. January is going to be a challenging month. The astrology is not very easy, but we've been through 2020. I think hopefully we'll get through January. February again is still going to be a bit challenging, but as the year progresses, there will be changes and things will open up a bit. So don't despair. So if it does feel a bit like you're walking through treacle at the moment, this month and next month, don't get down. It will change. Try and really use the energy to look within and think, how can I transform me? How can I change me? How can I adapt and make this work for me? Because that's what we have to do with these hands we're dealt. Astrology is a bit like a game of cards. We're dealt a hand, and we might not like the cards that we've been dealt, but we've got to make them work. We've got to actually make them be the winning hand. So for all of you, make your hand the winning hand. Thank you so much for joining me here tonight. And if you would like to have a one-to-one with me for astro coaching and to make sense of this crazy energy we're all experiencing, then please get in touch with me, message me, or visit my website, and you can get in touch with me that way. I'd love to really connect with you. And in the meantime, the next live I do will be for the full moon, and that is on the, I've forgotten, anyway, it's later this month, in 2 weeks' time approximately, and that'll be via Gozo in the House, via Gith. So until then, I really wish you a great couple of weeks, a great evening, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Bye for now.